Hey, folks, here at DonBest.com, Brian Blessing, Bruce Marshall. How about the Pats and the Bills in Orchard Park? This is a game in some locales actually opened 6, dropped to 3.5. It's settled on New England favored 4. The total on the game is 50.5. And Bruce, it's funny. I really do like the Patriots in this spot. I am a Bills fan, and certainly hope that they can come up with an outing and pull off a win in here. But if they did, if New England comes in 1-3, would fall, in essence, way behind the Bills in the East, and Buffalo's a very easy schedule in the back half of the season.
You can never tell. I mean, it's different things happening there in the East. I mean, things, are not always etched in granite. I mean, it's been 9 years. We hadn't yet hit the senior tour, Brian, the last time the Patriots were under 500 in a regular season. 9 years after week 1 of the 03 season. By the way, that was a loss to the Bills to open up 03. So it's been that long since they've been under 500. Maybe things are changing in the East. And Buffalo, I will tell you this, the calendar still says September on Sunday, and the Bills in September, the last 2 years, have been pretty darn good.
Well, maybe there's the correlation there. Certainly in Western New York this time of year, the leaves are lovely, and the weather is nice, and the quarterbacks will be throwing it all over the place. And let's not lose sight of the fact, in the 2 meetings last year, these teams produced 135 points. The over's looking pretty good to me.
Yeah, and they had a 38-30 game back in 2010 as well, so 3 of the last 4 in this series have gone over. I think the encouraging thing, well, there's a couple things for the Buffalo right now. First of all, Ryan Fitzpatrick, no picks the last 2 weeks. That's a good development for Buffalo. But secondly, Dave Wannstedt's defense, hey, they're starting to pick up the pace. Went to that 4-3. They wanted to juice up the pass rush. That's why they got Mario Williams and Mark Anderson, the defensive ends, in free agency. No sacks the opener against the Jets, but 9 sacks the last 2 weeks against Kansas City and Cleveland. If they put that sort of pressure on Tom Brady and the Patriots can't get their ground game going on Sunday, hey, Buffalo might have a shot.
This indeed is the game. This and the next one with the Patriots. Why the Bills spent the money they spent in the offseason was to put heat on Brady. And we just talk about this Buffalo offensive line, which is so under the radar. They led the league in least sacks allowed last year. They're protecting Fitzpatrick. But more importantly, they've got the running game going. Jackson gets hurt. Spiller's leading the league in rushing. He gets hurt. Tachard Choice comes in and gets 90 yards. Decent chance Fred Jackson makes a miracle recovery and gets back in there. Very much under the radar is the Buffalo offensive line.
That's right, and Choice, serviceable as well. 91 yards last week against Cleveland. I think Chan Gailey, though, dialed back the offense a little bit after the Jets opener. He didn't want to put all that pressure on Fitzpatrick. They have been trying to establish the run a lot more. It was about a 2-to-1 run ratio a couple weeks ago against the Chiefs, more 50-50 last week, but they are establishing the run better. Taking some of that pressure off Fitzpatrick, hey, that is a key to keeping Buffalo in it.
And the final footnote, and it's one more thing because it may be the key factor in this game. It may have been the best thing that ever happened to Buffalo. Collectively, the entire team was a no-show against the Jets, but it wasn't just Fitzpatrick turning the ball over. The Bills' defense, Mario Williams, they were invisible. They got called out. They have responded with 2 very solid outings.
Also, Williams and Anderson, the defensive ends, and Marcel Darius and Kyle Williams, the defensive tackle. All those guys had at least a half a sack in that game last week against the Browns. They put pressure on from the inside out, too. That defensive front can be a monster if they're all on the same page, and that's what's happened the last 2 weeks.
And we'll just wrap it up by saying don't lose sight of the fact New England's offense looked much better in a defeat against the Ravens, getting Wes Welker involved again. But finally, Brady stretching the field and finding a little bit of a rapport with Brandon Lloyd. Looks like they're going to put a lot of points on the board. Patriots 4-point favorites at Orchard Park against the Bills. Total on the game is 50.5. As always, from Bruce Marshall, great information. I'm Brian Blessing. We thank you for stopping by DonBest.com.